Hey, have you heard about Edward P. Martin's A Pope Between Two Fires? It's framing the current moment as the most serious crisis in Catholic unity in a generation. One pope, two potential schisms, and no clean answers.
I have. The premise is intense. What makes Martin's book different from the usual coverage?
Martin doesn't just recycle headlines. He digs into primary documents, verified reporting, and theology, so you can see what the SSPX actually believes and what the German synodal path is really proposing. He treats both sides fairly, then tests their strongest arguments at full strength before issuing a clear, sometimes uncomfortable verdict.
Okay, so how does he handle those two flashpoints, the SSPX ordinations and the German bishops?
He traces the February 2nd, 2026 SSPX announcement about ordaining new bishops, an act Rome warned could be formal schism, and situates it in decades of questions about liturgy, authority, and identity. On the other end, he unpacks the German Bishops' Conference situation, where leadership is openly questioning whether women's ordination is settled teaching. He shows these aren't isolated rebellions, but symptoms of longer institutional avoidance and unresolved theological tensions.
And what about the Pope? The book mentions Pope Leo XIV. What's Martin's take?
There's a full portrait of the Pope at the center of this crisis, an Augustinian friar from Chicago, formed by years in Peru, who took a papal name that suggested a third way. Martin reads his background, decisions, and the practical constraints he inherits to explain why he's uniquely challenged and why simple compromises may not hold.
Does Martin make it personal, or is it all high-level analysis?
He humanizes the theology. There's a family vignette that stays with you. A grandmother at a traditional Latin mass, her son whose marriage the church won't recognize, and his teenage son on the brink of leaving the faith. Those stories show the real pastoral stakes beyond abstract doctrine.
So what conclusion does he draw? Is he calling for one side or the other?
He reaches a genuine argument, not a neutral survey. Martin says 50 years of institutional avoidance have made this rupture more dangerous. He argues the church must confront hard questions forthrightly, theology, authority, pastoral care, and that delaying or papering over differences risks tearing the communion apart. It's a conclusion that won't comfort either hardliners or reformers, but it forces clarity.
Sounds provocative. Is it accessible for non-specialists?
Yes, it's rigorous but readable, a deep dive that's still humane. If you want to understand both the doctrines at stake and the human consequences, this book delivers. It's the kind of guide you'd hand to someone who's confused, worried, or just curious about where the church might go next.
I'm sold. Where can people get it?
Look for A Pope Between Two Fires by Edward P. Martin at your favorite bookstores and online retailers. If you care about the future of the Catholic Church, its unity, its theology, and its people, this is the book the moment demands.